say is, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When a ball turned into a vampire, all James was to say was, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he became Peter's best friend, they sat around the house and said, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 And you know that James Woods practices lingerie well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When I know that he's an actor, the best of them all when he says, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 Reese's Pieces on the floor and watch him come a saying, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 And you know that James Woods practices lingerie well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 Ooh, I'll be second day.
That girl, wherever she we have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest.
I am a revolutionary, and you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people.
As a councilwoman, do you think you should really be in handcuffs? Does that send a good message? You're breaking the law?
This is about political leadership. All the best activists in the past and in the present have put their lives on the line to fight for the rights of workers.
They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Oh yeah. Not like a little explosion on a Thursday night. Welcome. I'm Uncle Warren, and this is me being a little midget, pickle guy here. That's a little better. Still getting things felt out. Welcome to Extra Bulla. I am your host, Uncle Warren. I've been here a long time, here in the Brooklyn Batcave, amongst the hipsters trying to stay alive. Well, you know, it's easy to stay alive around hipsters. It's just hard to stay sane around hipsters. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is the Maiden Voyage. I am your captain, and already someone is brave enough to come on the show and join us today. He's a wonderful person. You know him as Bruce Wayne on Twitter, and oh my goodness, this guy makes me laugh so much. He brightens my day so much on that hellscape that we call Twitter. And I hope I do him the service of doing this right and not screwing this up. So anyway, let's bring him in here. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, brother? Wait, before you talk, let me make sure you can talk. Everybody's going where they're supposed to. All right, give me a shout.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right, what's up, man? How you doing?
Like I was telling you before, I'm so glad to meet you.
Yeah, same here. Likewise.
You know, through the digital verse here. You know, I think this is pretty much the future of conversation for a lot of people, at least for people like me. During the COVID thing, I was kind of a hermit guy anyway. You know, I would go to work and then I'd come home and really, I mean, my girl would come over and we would do things and, you know, we would go out together. But basically, you know, I hunkered down pretty well for for COVID because I was used to it. You know, how did you deal with it?
Pretty much the same way. I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to work remotely, you know, in my line of work. So that allowed me some little more freedom to deal with the pandemic. But you know, I was scared like everybody else. You know, I didn't know how I was going to approach it. You know, I just kind of did it like day by day, like everybody else. And you know, unironically, people on Twitter were a major part of that. Believe it or not. You know, social media gets a lot of bad raps, and some justified, some not. But when it comes to connecting with other people, I think if you approach it right, it can be beneficial. And it wasn't my case.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way, you know. I reached out to people. I mean, I'll tell you this. I was working at a grocery store up until August of last year, and I had pretty much I guess what you would call a nervous breakdown, for a lack of a better phrase. I'm no psychiatrist or medical person, but all I know is I just went into myself, you know, just and even my girl, I didn't want her to be a part of that world, you know what I mean? But and the thing that spurred it was we were in such close quarters at the grocery store, and you had like these professional shoppers, and then you had us employees, and then you had the customers, and everybody was around. And some people were wearing their masks, you know, up here, and the anxiety just went through the roof. And I said, screw it, I gotta get out of here, you know. And
right,
I've been here ever since. But I've reached out to people since then. I've told my girl about what's going on inside, and you know, and that's what kind of led to this whole show, you know, is having conversations with people. And one of the things I think is important in a conversation is that both parties are comfortable. You know what I mean? Like,
that is important.
If I don't know how you feel about like debates, like presidential debates or things like that, but it just seems like that's, if you can get any sort of information out of one of those things, I mean, good luck, you know, because it just seems like a debate is just you're trying to outdo the other person with your points.
It's almost as if they're not listening to each other and they're just going by their own scripts.
Right. It's like two football teams. It's like they've got their plan, their playbooks, right? And that's how they go at it. It is a match. It is a competition, and it's like that's not what conversation is supposed to be about, you know. And that's why I never watch those debates anymore. You know, they're just it's just,
I cannot stomach them at all. Honestly,
I couldn't either. It was like when Biden and Trump, you know, it was just like two old white guys talking. All right. I've seen that before. I'm from the South. I've seen plenty of that. You know,
the debates are far more entertaining on Twitter. You know, just getting the commentary from people that I follow, or you know, just reading the general timeline is it's just hilarious. I get far more entertainment out of that. Far more.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said, I was a Facebook guy for a long time, and
really, are you still on there? I saw your link.
I do. I have my War Deer Entertainment page on there, and I also run, well, somebody else actually runs it, but I created a page for Mississippi. It's called Show Me Your Mississippi, and I was inspired by this Facebook page I was on here in New York. It was called Show Me Your NYC, and it just had all these great shots. You know, you got all your touristy shots and stuff like that, but all these out of the way shots, you know, these little nooks and crannies of New York.
Those are the best ones.
Right. The ones where the tourists fear to tread, matey. You know, it's exactly. Like, but the locals are like, come on, this is home, man. We're not afraid of nothing around here.
They see it every day. They see it every day.
But yeah, it's okay, I'm gonna admit I'm a little stoned. So, and I am totally doing a memento, and I totally forgot what my point was. But anyway,
Totally fine.
The Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Me too. See, I love agreements already. It's like, why can't we?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. When I was in college, I wrote 2 scripts, movie script. Well, one was a short film, and the other was a full length. One was about a guy, it was called Rip Van Tinkle, and he was coming home from a party, and he had drank so much beer that he was peeing under an underpass, and 100 years passed, and it was the future, and there was robots, and you had to win a breakdance competition for humanity. It was college, and, that was, I think I was on shrooms at the time, but, I'm not apologizing. But what happened was there was another one where it was like, I had this idea. It was around 2012, when all the Mayan calendar apocalypse stuff was going on.
That.
No, I'm so into that stuff too. That's a rabbit hole. Anyway, what happened was I wrote this script. It was called For 2012, and it was basically about, and the subtitle was
I like it already.
The subtitle was The Apocalypse. The Apocalypse, okay? And so the premise was this giant pot planet far off in space blows up. And these huge chunks of planet weed are coming towards Earth. And everybody thinks, they're gonna die. And then at the end of the movie, it just hits the atmosphere and burns up. So it smokes out the whole planet.
And they all get a contact high.
Yeah, exactly. So that it's like what they thought was going to be a tragedy actually turned out to be world peace. So, although then when you take into the munchie factor of 7 billion people, then you're going to have hunger, and you don't want that.
Take a hit.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, you don't want starvation in a comedy. There's not really much funny about starvation. Nothing at all, actually. Anyway, since I have you here, good sir, how are things? You're on the West Coast, right?
Yes, I am. I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Yes, and we were discussing. I lived out there for a little bit. The last place I lived was in Koreatown, on Normandy, between Wilshire and 8th, and I love that neighborhood, man.
That area. Yeah,
I love that neighborhood. I was paying $625 a month in 2009 for like what they called a bachelor, which was just basically a studio without a kitchen. And but I love that place, man. It was great. I had these little French doors, and you had like the exposed brick, man.
Was that was that a historically preserved building?
I don't know.
You said French doors. I'm pretty sure it was. Let me explain why. Because there's a section in LA called the Miracle Mile District,
right? And
a lot of those buildings were built to be hotels, and they've converted them. So the one I lived in on 621 Dunsmuir was a historical preserve, and they had, when you said French doors, it just made me think about that because it had French doors. I had a studio there, and that was my first apartment on my own here in the city. It's a very special place to me. I'm not far from it. I'm in Hollywood right now. I'm at work, so everyone's gone, and corporate Hollywood. Again, that's my rabbit hole, but that's why I'm able to do this here now at work, because there's nothing really going on. So there's no shooting today.
So are you in the biz? Are you in that world?
Yes, I am in the Hollywood world. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I'm in the information technology field. So what I do for the studio is I provide private networks for their productions, both wireless and wired.
Okay.
This includes setting up, the peripherals, laptops, printers, and stuff like that, and monitoring the network. That's basically what I do for the entire studio and other things. So
I was a field tech for I had a 6-month contract a couple of years ago, and I was I'd go. I think my route was mostly downtown and midtown, and so I'd have to go to all these corporate buildings, you know, and do all. Oh my God, man! It was I don't know. So, okay, so here's how it worked. So in the morning, you go to the office, right, which is basically the meetup joint. You had your computers there, and you got your emails, like all your jobs for the day and stuff like that. And and then you got your parts in from FedEx and stuff. And so you had to like do all this, make sure that your client was going to be there that day, and then you had to call security downstairs or tell the client to make sure they put you on the list, blah 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 blah. And it was okay. I mean, it was all right. The job itself was easy. You know, it was just like fixing laptops and desktops. You know, just A+, that A+ kind of stuff. You know. And I think one time I found, what was it? Someone had poured a slushy inside of a laptop, and it was on the motherboard, and you could smell it too. And you're like, it was like the whole day. It was just like I just kept smelling pina colada.
Smell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sticky smell. Yes, I've had something like that happen to me before.
Well, I did that for 6 months, and then I worked at the grocery store for a little bit, and then I got out of it and decided to start doing this stuff, and hopefully maybe have a career, you know, and maybe join you in Hollywood. No, that's probably not going to happen.
The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Yeah, this environment is let me tell you how it used to be. Working on a movie studio is one of the most chaotic and exciting things that one could do from my position. We used to have 4 and 5 shows plus commercials going on all at the same time at any given day during the heavy shooting months. Since the corporatization of Hollywood, which is basically an extension of the streaming wars, because the studios create these companies to stream their content, and then when they do that, you know, they have to compete for space. Some of that space falls under the studio space. So what they've done is that they have seized control of every piece of square foot on the studios, and they've reserved it for, in this case, Netflix. We are a Netflix studio.
Oh, geez.
Over City Studio is the Amazon studio, because they own all of that. So you have these two entities producing their content on these studios. And what happens is, here's the bad part that really makes me feel so sad, is that what happens is individual and young creators cannot get a creative space, office, computer networks, all that stuff. They can't get a space on the lot because it's taken up by Netflix. And Netflix has first rights of refusal if they even choose to do that. Most likely what they do is they get the office space and they sit and hold on it. It's basically just dark.
Yeah.
That's it. And, you know, it's really horrible because, you know, you don't see any of the young Hollywood talent creators walk around a lot anymore. They're all corporate. I mean, it's like, I'm telling you, it's like my own little version of 1984 Hollywood style, you know? People, aside from the people that work on the sets, those are the union groups, the set decorators and, you know, those background personnel who really make Hollywood go, who I've come to actually, you know, have a newfound respect for them because, you know, they're just like me. You know, they're out there trying to, you know, take care of their families and support themselves and, you know, enjoy a little bit of life. You have just so many opportunities cut short if you're not into the corporate machine of entertainment, so to speak. And I think that's really sad. A lot of independents get squashed and have to go other places to satisfy their creative desires. It's really kind of sad. And I've been here for 15 years, so I've seen it at its most chaotic and frenetic. And this is right now is its most, it's sedate. Now, with fairness of the pandemic, I think it did accelerate things to a point where it really did kind of just like redline the whole process. But since we're on the so-called road to recovery, there are people starting to come back, at least today, this week. And, it still feels, kind of sedentary. But, I'll give it some time and see how it goes. But what I said earlier still stands. Amazon pretty much locks up, locks up their studio. And in this case, Netflix has locked up us. And, it is what it is, pretty much. It's just kind of sad because, going from what I jokingly call Hollywood's golden days of production, the whole everything's going on. It's really I mean, like you can't even back in the day, so to speak, you couldn't even get from the front gate to the middle of the studio because so much is going on. Now, that's an easy walk because there's only 2 shows shooting here on the lot. 2 shows, 15 stages. Let that sink in. 2 shows, there's 15 stages here.
I'll tell you, man, when I was out there,
two piece, so the rest are just sitting dormant. It's really, insane.
Well, it seems like it's definitely gotten worse since I've been out there. Because I remember, I don't know, I remember going to see shows at the studios. Like Warner Brothers. I think we went to go see that 70s show or something like that, and we saw a couple others. But anyway, and it was like, I think even then, and this was like, I want to say this was 2004, I guess, so about 17 years ago. And, and it nothing. It was just, and that was right on the very cusp of Netflix. That's when that's when baby Netflix was born. And did you know Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix and they said, nah, it'll be fine.
The reason I kind of have a love and hate relationship with Netflix because when they first started out, everybody laughed at them. I remember everybody in the business laughed at them, and they stuck with it. I was one of their OG customers. I mean, I would get the DVDs in the mail. I'd watch the films and send them back, drop them off in the slot. I mean, that was me. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So now here they are. They're completely running the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're running the game. And because I've been a fan of them from the start, I kind of root for them. I really do. When it comes to just giving me good content, I kind of root for them. And, honestly, they're the only ones that's doing the original Star Trek series right.
All right, let's talk about that.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know you're a Trekkie, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I am too. Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
So you have Star Trek Discovery, and you have Star Trek Picard, and there's Lower Decks. Do you watch that, the cartoon?
I don't watch any of that.
Oh, you don't watch any of them?
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean, when I say that I'm a Trekkie, I'm a Trekkie, and I am true to my word. I will not support anything that Alex Kurtzman does at all.
But he's such a genius.
The Star Trek issue is so nuanced because at the studio level, you have Paramount and CBS fighting over licensing.
Yeah.
You have that. You have the disgraceful departure of Les Moonves, a former Paramount executive who did not like Star Trek since day one, and he sabotaged it. So he left a contractual loophole that allowed people like Kurtzman to get in there and do their thing. I'm sorry, J.J. Abrams via Kurtzman to get in and do their thing. And, I wanted to give the J.J. Abrams Kelvin timeline a chance. Number one, because I really enjoyed the casting, how he selected the actors.
Yeah.
Say what you want about 2009 Star Trek, it really was a well casted and well acted film, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought the character Nero was really, really well developed.
That was
it was good to see Leonard Nimoy.
Who was that? Eric Bana?
Eric Bana was.
Bana, yeah.
Eric Bana, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was good to see all that. It was really good, and I tried to give it a chance, but again, when you don't have a plan, you get the first Star Trek, which was actually a good. I mean, he had basically JJ did with Star Trek what he did with Star Wars. He had everybody. He had everyone by the short and curlies. We were interested. We were engaged. He had our attention, and he fumbled it.
Yeah,
he fumbled it bad. And the second one did not do Into Darkness was a horrible idea. It was a horrible idea, which then pulled back the curtain on JJ's creative abilities of being original. This was really like a red flag for everybody, especially Trekkies. Because, see, we're seeing this in real time now. We're seeing our stuff being destroyed in real time. And we're figured out that the guy that's doing it ain't talented. That's called a red alert. So by the time you get to the third film with Idris Elba, I thought that was a great Hail Mary. I actually enjoyed that film. I thought Idris' performance was very, very solid. I thought the story was solid. And I really enjoyed it. And I was hoping that, Alex Lin did a good job, and he did. He did a really great job on that film.
Yeah, that was a pretty. It was a nice. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was a nice little twisties in there. It was that.
Yeah, it really was good. It was really well done. It was.
What's that? That was the same one they did. They had Beastie Boys and Sabotage, right? Was that the same movie?
Yeah, that was the second time they used it, though. That was the second time they used it.
They used it in what? In the same movie or in the series?
First one. The first one.
When he's in the car. When he's really?
Lack of creative ability.
Damn you, J.J. Abrams! You fooled me! I totally forgot.
No one caught that. When I heard Sabotage and Star Trek Beyond, I thought to myself, this motherfucker did it again. He did it again.
What's that thing on Jimmy Dore? You fucking idiot! He done it again! You fucking asshole!
Yeah, I was really upset. But that didn't take away from Star Trek Beyond and the work that Alex Lin did. I was really, really impressed. And it was good to see the crew and cast back together again. It was really cool. Now getting back to
go ahead.
The Discovery and Lower Decks. Listen, man, I do not have any problem with anyone who enjoys that content. I have no problem with that. And I will never, attack anybody personally or castigate them. I personally do not engage in it because I think it's blasphemous. I think it's really horrible. There was a short. I follow several YouTube channels that share my opinions, but they're not over the top evil about it. They're just like, yo, I don't like it. We keep it moving. But sometimes you lampoon the material. Well, I saw a video of a young lady. She's playing a Starfleet captain. It was a Tribbles episode. You can Google it. It's really good. She was so not a Starfleet officer, just baseline, let alone, a commander of a starship. It was just really horrible. I mean, her demeanor, how she was speaking to a fellow officer. All these things matter in the Star Trek universe. Decorum, how you speak, protocols, all kinds of things are really important when you write and direct these types of things. All that stuff was just thrown away. It was like some type of sketch comedy, And actually, the issue they were discussing, because I think the captain was dressing down the young officer for making some mistake, something like that. That was the premise of the clip, and it was just really horrendous. It really was. It was kind of hard to watch, knowing that knowing how a Starfleet officer is supposed to perform and how they're supposed to behave, and how just be professional. It wasn't even professional, Warren. It was just really just distasteful, honestly.
Yeah, I know, and that was one of the things about Star Trek that I liked growing up, was that you actually you learned some things, and for a country boy, yeah, you learned a lot. I mean, especially like a country boy like me who'd never been out of the South. I mean, I was born in Chicago, but we moved when I was 2, so that doesn't count. So, but I like to tell people I'm from Chicago when I want to feel tough. But anyway, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm from Chicago, man. You want a piece of this shit? All right, I'll take this pizza pie that's practically a swimming pool full of sauce, and I'll put it in your fucking face. All right. But when I was a kid, you probably remember this. When there was just ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, you had 4 channels. Yeah. And Star Trek was on CBS, but it was out of New Orleans, which was about 90 miles away. So I always saw Star Trek. It always was snowing in Star Trek. But I could still, same thing with Dukes of Hazzard and Incredible Hulk too, all that stuff. It's so worth it. Just sit there and squint. That's probably why probably my eyesight's so shit now. But the thing was that, there was all these different cultures and stuff like that on Star Trek, all these different people, and, they were going out in space and they were adventurers. It was like, I was always curious as a child, that what's out there in the universe. And here was like this TV show was like, hey, they're going on adventures. I mean, it was all made up, but still, they tried to apply a lot of
that incites the imagination is a beautiful thing.
Exactly. I had this, I wanted to do a Star Trek series that takes place during World War III, and like with Khan and all them ruling like half the earth. But so you're like, I've heard people talk about like, okay, so you have our timeline, what we're in here now. Obviously, there was no World War III in 1995, and there was no
96,
or 96, yeah. And so, how do you justify that split off in the timeline? So I had this idea for, it's like you see this Romulan, or it's a Romulan ship, and it's like a small ship, and it's being chased by a Vulcan ship. It's like through the solar system, right? It goes around Saturn, it goes around Jupiter, and you see them pew 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 pew. The great score of Star Trek, the pew pew pew, and the Vulcan destroys the Romulan ship, but the Vulcan ship's messed up, so it has to land on Earth for repairs. The Vulcan comes out and sees a young boy, and he does the prime directive. They don't want the whole first contact thing, so he's gonna do like a Vulcan mind thing on the kid to make him forget. But in the meantime,
short-term memory,
yeah. So in the meantime, he uses the kid to help him fix the ship. So like the kid's helping him fix the ship, and since he knows he's gonna do a Men in Black zap on him anyway, he's telling him all this stuff about there's Klingons and there's this and that and this and that, and the kid helps him. He's like, wow, you were just so cool, and then he puts the thing on his head, and my mind to your mind, forget all this shit. All right, and then he takes off, and that kid was Gene Roddenberry. Yeah. Right. Like that. Yeah. So he does the Vulcan thing on his mind, but doesn't quite take.
Sounds like it didn't work.
He doesn't remember the experience of meeting the Vulcan, but he remembers the characters because they were so vivid. the Klingons, you know, what is it? I'm so high. Who are the blue people?
Warren, that is really incredible. That's actually that's so good. That is
right?
so good.
But okay,
I'm sitting there turning it in my head. I'm like, wow, that is so fucking dope.
Look, totally steal it too. You're already in Hollywood. If you can make money off it, brother, steal it. I got no use for it in NYC. You take it seriously. But wait, there's more.
I want no part of them. Go ahead.
There's more. Yeah. Okay. So that is why we never. Okay. All right. Good. Man, I wish you were one of them Hollywood executives. You know what I mean? I'd have come a courting you.
You know what, Warren? So do I. So I can just get all this bullshit off the table and put some real stuff out there. Yeah.
Look, I'm serious, man. If this thing could make money, you're already out there. Make it happen. Just throw me a couple of bucks, you know, put me in the credits. Bob's your uncle. That's all I give a shit about. Anyway, so that's the timeline, right? That's okay. The Vulcan meets Roddenberry as a child, right? And so Roddenberry creates Star Trek for all of us to enjoy. So now all that stuff he's talking about, which is really real, but nobody knows, is fictional for us, right? So that's our timeline, right? So in the show, you see the same fight going through the solar system, right? And as this, you know, same thing, same sequence of events. He destroys the Romulan ship, and the Vulcan ship is about to go to Earth. But all of a sudden, you see like this mystery ship come out of nowhere. You don't know what it is. It's kind of like a silhouette, right? And you can't really get a shape on it. And all of a sudden, you see this photon torpedo come firing out of it, and it destroys the Vulcan ship that was supposed to meet up with Gene Roddenberry, right? So now the Vulcan doesn't meet up with Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry doesn't get inspired to create Star Trek, which influenced millions and millions of people, which at the time of Star Trek, you had a lot of civil unrest. You had a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of hate going on. And Star Trek was one of those little shows that helped kind of, hey, come on, guys, come together. Let's come together. You know what I mean? So without Roddenberry, that's how you get World War III. That's how you get Khan. That's how you get the Star Trek. What do you think?
Okay.
And the two viewers on YouTube are probably going to steal that idea, and we're both going to get fucked out of the money. So, sorry, you know, it was a good. These kids are quick.
America. I've been getting fucked out of money for a long time.
Well, all right, no, that's fair point right there. You know, I ain't really seen that much scratch in my own life either. So, you know, I'm like, you know, I think people who grow up poor and who know how to live poor, when the apocalypse hits,
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do. I do too. Oh. I mean, you know, we were poor. We couldn't even afford the OR at the end of poor. That's how poor we were. But you know, when an apocalypse hits and you gotta, like, if a Walking Dead type situation happens, you gotta scrap and you gotta survive. The purse dog people, you know, they ain't gonna last. You know what I mean?
It is the strong survive.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my Star Trek pitch. Because I love Star Trek. I'm not like super fan like you are, because all right, you're gonna hate me, but I do watch Discovery.
I do not hate any fans. I don't hate any fans. I don't. I don't think we can afford that. I really don't.
No, we can't.
Let me speak on this for a minute. There's a divider in the fandom.
Yeah.
And I think it is unhealthy. There are people on my timeline who actually enjoy Lower Decks and Discovery, and and Picard. Good for them, because it's not my Star Trek, but it's Star Trek. So if it gives someone some joy, I'm cool with that. My personal choices are my own, because I know what's really going on, and because I know what's really going on, which makes it just even more complicated, it just reinforces my position not to partake of what they're enjoying. But if they enjoy it, yo, rock on, rock on, rock on. Because you know what? It could be here today and gone tomorrow. You know how Hollywood is. You know how it is.
I've had a few shows that I really liked that went just like that. So yeah, I appreciate all of them. You know.
You know what? Enjoy that stuff. Enjoy it.
I had to check it out because it was Star Trek. You know, so there was like a curiosity to it. I think it is geared more towards the younger generation, and because the younger generation is a lot more comfortable with the social changes and stuff than the older folks are. I mean, that's how it's always been. You know, the old folks never want, you know, to do what the kids are doing because, you know, that's for the kids, you know. But
yeah, but again, it's so nuanced because the people who are creating the content are not science fiction writers.
No, they're not
science fiction writers, and therein lies the problem. Therein lies the problem. These industries are failing because the people who are now in charge of them lack the creative basis to produce proper content. And it's not really about canon, really, because anyone who has read comic books, anyone who has watched any type of science fiction, you know, especially from the 60s, 70s, or 80s, you know, integration and representation is already built in. Star Trek had the first interracial kiss in the 60s, in the 1960s. Right. And it was a big deal. And there were sponsors who pulled out, left the show, because Star Trek was so popular. It was the #1 show during its run, which is something that's another misnomer that I researched. When you read, you know, articles about Star Trek and its history, you know, it always has a tinge to it where they say, well, you know, the show was struggling, yada, yada, yada. And I did some research. That's not necessarily true. If you check the TV Guide archives, during years 1 and 2 of its run, it was the #1 show in its time slot for a number of weeks, undisturbed. Like no one even encroached it. When Star Trek started to fail is when Roddenberry had a problem with the writers and people were being cycled out. So by the end of season 2, going into season 3, that's when the ratings dropped off because you got stuff like Spock's brain, which is just generationally fucking horrible. Even Nimoy didn't like it; he hated it. So the first 2 years of its run, it was the juggernaut. It was actually driving primetime television.
Yeah, it was huge for CBS.
When you have a first interracial kiss in the 60s, I think we had everything covered. Because, you know, the premise of the show, we know about the Federation, we know about, you know, there are 13 Constitution-class starships at this period in the timeline of Star Trek. So we know that there's a universe there. We know that. Yeah. You know, if you want to switch to comic books, you know, the industry is suffering. Why? Because there are no good comic book writers left. Everyone that's writing it, they're writing it without the proper skill set. I'm just going to leave it at that. Because, again, that's kind of like a sub-rabbit hole when you go into this kind of thing. So I'm trying to be fair and, you know, be allowed for time and stuff like that. But, you know, they just don't know how to do it. And the industries are suffering.
It just seems to me like they're more interested in marketing than they are with crafting. You know what I mean? I mean, take a look at like, take a look at what is it Peter Jackson said about Lord of the Rings. He said he wouldn't have changed any of it. You know, he said it was about because people loved Lord of the Rings. You know, he had to stay true to it, and of course, it was just fucking brilliant, beautiful. Still
funny you mentioned Lord of the Rings because they're making it again and they're running into all kinds of problems over at Amazon.
Yeah, it's a TV series. Is it a series or is it going to be a movie? On the Silmarillion?
It sounds like a series. Yeah, it sounds like a series. Yeah. They're going through some production issues over there, and I think it's going to, you know, I think it's going to make it to production, of course, obviously, but they've just been hitting snag after snag after snag. You know, people who are closely tied to the token foundation and the state, are no longer there. They have been systematically weeded out and replaced with these underlings who do not understand the lore. They're more interested in marketing, as you said, and they want to inject identity politics. I think no matter what side of the fence you sit on, politically, left, middle, or center, I think as a whole, I think all of us are tired of being preached to.
Some of us too old to be preached to. You know what I mean? We ain't all crazy and stupid out here. Some of us got some common sense.
Yeah, I say that because, it's almost like common sense is just taking just a permanent vacation. It just almost seems that way. People who want to consume entertainment do not want to be lectured to. And I think that's the underlying premise here. And when you have these companies, snapping back and, attacking fandoms and, spinning narratives using, their very powerful influences in Hollywood to attack, people. I mean, think about that for a moment. You have companies like Disney attacking regular people over issues that just kind of seem ridiculous when you drill down and see it for what it really is. When you take away all the spin, when you look at the facts, it's just kind of it's basically ridiculous. How they treat their fandom. They're paying customers, and people are responding. They're responding by doing other things with their money. For those who have it, and I think that's really sad. It's really sad. And you know what? It's going to turn. It's going to turn.
Yeah, they're if I was going to be optimistic about it, I would say that okay, they're trying to skew these legacy shows that we came up with, and they're trying to skew them for the modern younger audience that's more into these identity politic type things, and it's I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, that's fine. Make your own show. Don't mess with a show. I mean, I'm not against like what some of the changes that they've made, but it's just like it seems like they're putting the emphasis on the changes, and they're kind of leaving the story. The story's like secondary, and
yes, that's the problem.
I
don't know anyone who takes this who enjoys this type of content. Not one person has said to me, and I have friends across the spectrum politically, not one of them has said to me they didn't like a black character, they didn't like a lesbian character, they didn't like anybody that is a member of those communities. Not one person has said that. Right. But you know what they have said? Man, I can't get into it. The story, I can't. It's like it's just preachy. Every frame is preachy. And this is not me talking. I'm listening to what they're saying.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. Not just letting them rant, because they do what I'm doing right now. They do to me. Yeah. They're complaining because the story is secondary, as you say, and it's just not good content. It's not good content. And I say, go ahead and rock out. Go ahead and keep doing what you're doing, and let's see if it makes any money. Because ultimately, these entertainment companies want to make money. So it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Do I have a personal vested interest in how it goes? Really, no. I mean, basically, if it's good, I'll come. If it's not, I'll just sit back and just wait, because it's not going to be any skin off my back. But these companies and their shareholder meetings and these stock options, people walking down the hallway, look at you sideways like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? This is not working right now.
Yeah.
There's major upheaval in Disney. There's major upheaval at Lucasfilm Limited. This is real talk. I know from firsthand experience.
It just seems like they're rolling the dice. You know what I mean? It's like they're taking the ID politics. They're taking all this stuff. They're trying to skew it for the youngers. They're actually trying to skew it more towards like the millennial type folks because you remember all that 80s shit when we started making money, you know, once our, you know, Gen X started making money, and then they started, all you saw was this 80s retro shit all over the place to try to get our money. So now they're trying to do the same shit with the kids, and trying to skew it towards them. And yeah, I mean, like you said, money talks and bullshit walks, right? If they ain't making money at the box office.
I think you're missing this point. The millennials are not going for it. Those
right,
are the ones that I talk to. I don't know in my age group. I talk to them because I find their feedback far more valuable than someone in my age group.
I like the younger generation.
I learned so much from them.
I do too.
So much from. I love them. Millennials are my favorite, honestly. If we're being honest.
Really?
Because
all right. I like Gen Z. I mean, millennials. I like the younger millennials. The older millennials are a little bit surly like me. I'm like, you don't infringe on Gen X territory. The grumpy's our territory, all right? You got to go find your own place to go play, okay?
Hey, man, but they're not to be grumpy. They can go ahead and...
The older millennials, the younger millennials are great. And then once you get into Gen Z, those are a bunch of knuckleheads. I love those guys. Those guys are great, man. They're all over the place, man. They got energy. They ain't taking shit from the man. You know what I mean? They're like, fuck you pigs. You know, and they got all the gear on. I try that. My back could go out in about 2 seconds, and I have to come back for a heating pad. So, you know, but God love those kids, man. I love them, man. They're just like, they're little scrappers, man. That's what makes me feel good about the future, brother, is like those kids, man. They're like, they're fighters, man. They're not having it. You know what it is? Gen X got pissed on by the boomers, and so we told the millennials, all right, we ain't gonna do that shit to you. We're just not gonna care about anything, really.
You know what? That's pretty much my attitude. I don't know one millennial I got a problem with.
Right.
Not one.
I don't care. I really don't.
I don't care. I don't care. What I want for them to have is a future. That's what I would actually like.
Yes, sir.
I would like them to have the same opportunity that I had coming out of school. You know, if they want to get married, don't want to get married. They want to have kids. You know, you want to, you know, study abroad. You know, it's nice to have some fucking options.
Yeah.
Instead of being, you know, shoehorned into military service where your return is 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm truly lucky to be sitting here in front of you today. I'm truly lucky.
I'm glad to see you, brother. I'm glad you are here. You know, I'm glad you are here. And it's just you know, my parents were silent generation. You know, Dad was born in the 20s in Mississippi. You know, just dirt poor. You know, family of it's like 9 kids, 7 or 9 kids, something like that. And you know, he taught me. I mean, he was in World War II, and I got the boomer benefit. What the silent gen did for the boomers, they did for me, you know, and my sisters are boomers, so I always felt like, you know, that generation, the silent generation, they gave to the boomers. They said, we want you to have better than what we had, because they went through some shit, right? So they said, okay, we want you to have better. But the boomers said, okay, we got better. And Gen X comes along and is like, yep, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, motherfucker. All right. And, you know, here you go. Here's some. Actually. Yeah. Well, you got to, you know, I mean, here's some student loan debt that's going to haunt you the rest of your life. You like that? You know, that kind of shit. The stuff they didn't have to deal with. Oh, healthcare. Oh, $10,000 ride to the hospital in a ambulance. Oh, boy, it sucks to be you. Pull them bootstraps up, brother. You know, if they don't say anything to me about that, that's fine. All right, you know, just you be you. But when boomers start talking down to me about shit, that I just light into them like a freaking blowtorch, because it's just like, you guys,
as you should.
You spoiled rotten. You got everything good right at the best part of your lives, and then when we came along, you said, "Go fuck yourself." And so now, I loved how, what was it recently? There was some shit on Twitter that lasted like 5 minutes, how boomers were trying to get Gen X to help them, because the millennials were picking on them, and all the Gen X are saying, "Go suck it."
I'm not doing that. No. I have zero desire to attack someone who is doing the same thing I'm doing every day, who's getting up, going to work, trying to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
That is not my enemy. I try to make sure that my anger and my vitriol and my venom and my hot spit, whatever you want to call it, goes right to the top.
There you go.
These motherfuckers are literally living off of our backs. And it incenses me that nobody else is as pissed off as I am.
No, I am.
Really does.
It's not a lot of people have.
That's probably why I gravitate towards you, because you have the same fuck you energy that I have, and that's really where I'm at right now. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm not trying to be your fucking friend. I'm just not doing that now. There was a time where I was trying to be diplomatic and kind of, try to ease people into it. Now, let's just go slow. You know what? Fuck that.
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
not
that.
doing that no more. Now you get both barrels, my dude. You get both barrels, no silencer, and it's gonna be one pull.
Like that's Rambo, baby.
You can either deal with it or you can't. I'm not gonna stay here to watch the body drop. I'm already out. Done.
Look, we've been through the wars. We've been through the shit, and we ain't going through any more bullshit that we don't have to. So, these people that want to have like these culture wars and these ID politic wars and shit like that, you can take that same energy and go out and do something useful. Go feed somebody, go give a homeless person something to eat. It just take like a little. I mean, just something instead of just.
I have some ideas on that. I want to run by you. It gets hard to go to work sometimes, because when I drive to work, I see so much squalor. Humans living in the street. So I've been trying to think of an idea of how could I help them, like create like care packages. And I kind of got the idea from Unholy Rome. I think. Do you follow him on Twitter?
Oh yeah, I love him. He's really cool.
I love that brother. I like how he just kind of like just gets the fuck up and goes and does it. Yeah. When I first saw his first video, I got emotional because I'm like, yo, that's kind of what I've been wondering, why folks won't do that. And here this guy is in Detroit. He does it.
Yeah.
He just does it. So that kind of inspired me to get my own idea of what could I do to help people around here. So I was thinking about creating some sort of quick, small, compact care package that I can, distribute to people who live on the street. Something like maybe some shoes, some socks, underwear, toothbrush, toothpaste, and maybe even some food, and maybe like a 40 spot of cash. Like I was thinking about like creating that like once a month, just build one up and just give it to one person, because I don't have the funds to make like 5 in a row. You know what I'm saying? Right, I don't have that kind of cheese. But I was thinking something along those lines, and that was an idea inspired by Rome. Just doing something, because
that's a hell of an idea. I think that's a great idea, man. You should. I mean, I think what people get overwhelmed by how much like homelessness and how much grief and sorrow it is, that they get so overwhelmed by it that they don't think that even just a little teeny tiny something, can help. But I always say, look, every little bit helps. You would be amazed. Here in New York, I mean, I'm the same boat. I don't have that much, but if I got a little extra and I see somebody that's homeless or something, I'll try to give a few bucks or something. Or if there's like a place to eat next door, I'll get them a sandwich or something like that. But
yeah, I'm pretty good for that. I'll go in with one. I did get one sandwich, come out with like 2. I'll do that. Yeah.
Like, here you go. and just like give it to them, and then and they're just like, oh, thank you very much, and it's like, yeah, the thank you is good, but you wish you could do so much more for this person,
Yeah,
and
it's really frustrating.
Yeah, I always say if I ever won the lottery, like like something obscene, like $200 or $300 million, you see all these people just who lose it in a year and they're bankrupt and they're miserable, and it's like, no, okay, I would probably lose it, but I would put it into places that would actually help people. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it being away from me as long as it's going into channels and going into places where it's actually going to do some good. Right. Instead of going up to the top and ending up in somebody's offshore account or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, that's a great idea. Listen,
man. Thanks. I'm still working out the details of how I want to do it, but that's generally the gist of it. And a lot of respect to Rome, man, for doing the work.
I do.
Talk about courage.
It's not like he's leading by example. Like you said, it inspired you. I mean, it inspired me too.
Literally.
And he's a really down to earth, super nice guy. I like the fact that he's just he's real. He's blunt, and I like that.
I told him. I tweeted him. I said, "Yo, if you're ever in LA, bro, you will never buy a fucking meal. You would never buy anything. I got you."
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind sleeping in this glorified walk-in closet where I live, he's got a place to stay here too. So might be a little close quarters. That's the only way I could live in Brooklyn, is living in closets that turn into apartments somehow. But hey, listen,
what's it like living in Brooklyn? What's it like?
I don't know. I lived in two places. When I first moved here, I lived in Bushwick, which is a little north here. It's kind of like between here and the famous Williamsburg, where all the hipsters live. But where I lived, it was a great neighborhood. It was like you had international foods all around the place, and you had your fast food staples. There was a Little Caesars over there. Ooh. And the Taco Bell Pizza Hut combo. What the hell? Anyway, I was a little fat because me and my roommate at the time were like, and you got munchies that close. Anyway, but I tell you, when I first got to New York and I got out of the train station, I looked up and I saw the tall buildings, and it was a perfect New York day because it was like one of those overcast, right? And it's a little rainy. So the streets are shiny, and you got that gray. It's almost like a black and white picture kind of thing, and you're looking at New York, and it's like, I love cloudy days in New York for that reason, because it's just, it just makes it feel like the cold city, like, we lurk in the darkness. Watch out, we'll come out of the fog. And but I don't know, I had these ideas growing up as a kid. I always wanted to be in the big city when I was a little kid. And all the things that I knew about the big city were all from television. Yeah. So, or the movies. So what I saw about New York, what I saw about LA, it all came from the movies and stuff. And when I actually went to those places, it was quite different from what I thought. It seemed like I was about 10 years too late to the scene. You know what I mean? I got to LA in 2003, and then I got here in 2009, and this place was already, overrun with hipsters. And but you get to get, what I like to do. There's some places, like I said, Bushwick, parts of Bed-Stuy. I like to go through. They have the old tenement buildings, and all the Hasidic Jewish folks are around, and it's just like they're really cool. And they always got those cool hats. Cool. I love the hats. I love the Hasidic Jews because of the hats. There's the guys that have the round ones, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody's religion. I just don't know the name of the hats. But there's the round one that kind of looks like, and it's kind of square like this. But then there's the ones that kind of look like the cowboy hats, And I'm like, man, those guys are usually like they don't have like a tie or nothing.
Yeah,
usually have the shirt open.
I don't know if that's a I think each hat has a different meaning, bro. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna find that
I've
out.
never asked anybody, but I love the dress. I love the acidic dress. I really do. I think it's kind of cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
I just feel bad for them in the summer.
We live not. I'm sorry. The studio is basically in a Jewish neighborhood. So when I come here, you can see this because there's a small Hasidic Jewish component in the neighborhood, and you can see the families walk. They look so beautiful. Like they're all dressed like kind of like the same but different textures and layers and scarves and stuff. It's really kind of cool to watch. And only during like when they like holidays, when they dress up, like Jewish holidays, that's when you see them. Otherwise, they got like regular stuff on. But when they dress up for the holidays, it's really nice to see. Yeah.
I just feel bad for them in the summertime because, man, I know that shit's got to be hot. You know, and now Cali heat is not bad. It's a dry heat, but New York heat, oh,
it's dry. Yeah, it's dry. It's dry.
Today the humidity.
Muslim, so I know about oh yeah. So I know about the coverings and stuff. Yeah, wearing shalvar and kameez as a child, and my mother would be in full purdah with the veil and So yeah, and you'll be surprised to know that they're not that hot under there because
I was about to say
reflect the heat. Yeah,
I've spoken,
but that's a big that's why I kind of chuckle when you said it. It's a big misconception. They're the coolest ones outside, the ones that are covered. Yeah.
Now you're talking about like the ladies like in the burqas and stuff like that. That like they're cool. But the Hasidic Jews, the gentlemen, those coats are thick.
Yeah,
I mean it's like
I do not know about those coats. Look heavy. They do look heavy. Yeah.
Oh, they are, and they wear those. They wear those all year round. It's not like, I mean, it's great in winter, obviously, but I mean, today the humidity was 95% today, and when it stopped raining, it was so thick in here, it was just like I just felt like this coating of water on my skin, and I'm like, oh my god, and I was in a t-shirt and shorts. I couldn't imagine being in like this giant coat with the hat. Although the hat is fat, man. I love that. I can't get over them hats.
I love that lid, bro. Awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I love that lid. I love it. I really do. I love that lid. It just looks so dope. And it can go with so much.
I know, right? I want the cowboy hat one too. Yeah. I really want that one because that's almost like.
That I want. I want the cowboy one.
That's what I'm talking. The Indiana Jones looking shit, right? Yeah. I've
already got an outfit like in my head, in my closet. What I wear that with? Yeah. That lid is dope.
Indiana Saul. I mean, yeah. I love seeing that, and that's one of the reasons I came to New York because that's one culture I like. I like all my Hispanic friends around here. I got the Yemenis guys at the end of the block there who run the delis down there, and oh man, those guys
that is so cool.
I love those guys, man. They work their asses off. Those guys, and it's probably the same way in LA and every other big city too. These guys work 7 days a week. They work. They don't take any days off. And then they save up enough money, and then they go back to Yemen. They take the money they save, they take it back to Yemen, back to their families. And I spoke to one of them. I said, you know, with all that shit that's going on over there with Saudi Arabia and stuff, you know, basically starving. Is your family okay? And he said, yeah, our family's fine. As you get closer, he said, as you get closer to where the blockade is around the docks and stuff like that, you see a lot of like the starvation and stuff like that. But as you get more and more out, I guess people are more dependent on themselves out there, so they don't necessarily, you know, I don't know what it is, but those guys, oh my goodness, they are my brothers, man. I love them to death. I just wish all that shit over there would just be over with, you know.
American imperialism.
Hey, right? Hey, America, hey, number one. Let's take a break for a second because I need to get some more water and a little smoky treat for Daddy. We'll have some good tunes, and also we're going to have a cartoon in a little bit. So yeah, you showed up on a good night. We're gonna have a cartoon. It's only 30 seconds, Excellent. So it's not gonna be crazy. So anyway, stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. Look at that hair. Yeah, crazy business. This looks like some 1980s. Was it that you have your own show on? What was that? What was that called? You have your own show on TV. But it was cable access. That's what it was. Cable access television.
Yes.
Yeah, cable access. Sorry about that. Okay, so I got this little story that I've been working on, and I hope this works. I wanted to get your take on it. So, in Mississippi last November, and let's see if this works. Hey, look at that, Mazel Tov. So last November, Mississippi legalized medical marijuana, right? Close to 70% of the state voted for it. But what happened was, I think it was supposed to go into effect in June, like yesterday or a couple of days ago.
Okay.
But now it was overturned by the Mississippi Supreme Court. Well, and here's the shit and giggles part about it.
Wow.
The initiative process, which requires petitioners to try to get any initiative on the ballot to gather 1/5 of signatures from each congressional district, it was added to the Mississippi Constitution in the 1990s to Section 273. The state had 5 congressional districts during the time the initiative was written. But since Mississippi dropped to 4 districts after the 2000 census, the language dealing with the initiative process was never updated, which led to the initiative being overturned. So what that means is the law was fucked up. And I've been trying to get a hold of some people down there. I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody yet. I'm going to still work on it. But how do you put something on the ballot if you know the law is fucked up? I don't know if they knew if the law was fucked up or not. But, for a state that literally took slavery off the books in 1991, you know, let's make it official. You know, last year changed their state flag, which I never thought I would see in my lifetime. And then
that actually surprised me.
I know, right? It was crazy. Because they've been talking about this for years and years and years.
But I think that change is fully motivated by money as opposed to some moral compass, in my opinion, because there was a lot of heat about that flag. It was all over ESPN, you know?
Yeah.
If I hadn't seen it on ESPN, I never would have known about it.
Well, when you got businesses saying, yeah, and you got businesses saying you're not going to come to your state because of your shit flag. Yeah, it was all money. Yeah. And the medical marijuana initiative that's going on down there. If we can get back to that, let's see. What had happened was what's going to happen now is it's going to have to go back to the governor. His name is Tate Reeves. He's the governor of Mississippi. And he basically said that what's going to happen is they've got to call a special legislative session so they can fix the law. So they're not going to overturn it. They just got to fix the law to make it work, which I don't understand. But this is from WAPT out of Jackson, Mississippi. Here's a report on it.
No timeline set yet for state lawmakers to return to the state capitol to address the medical marijuana issue that was overturned by the state Supreme Court. But this organization called We Are the 74 are hoping to motivate lawmakers to get moving. Protesters took to the front steps of the governor's mansion, calling on him to call lawmakers back to approve a medical marijuana measure that was approved by 74% of the vote last fall.
We would just like to see our vote count. We think that what we did stood for something. We're here to make sure it still stands for something.
In fact, organizers of the rally call themselves We Are the 74, representing the 74% margin of victory in last fall's election.
I think there's outrage on every corner of the state, and if Governor Reeves isn't listening already, he's going to have to listen after today.
I voted for my mom. I voted for my dad. We were thrilled, and not just us, but everybody out here who voted for somebody with epilepsy, fibromyalgia, ALS, cancer, anxiety, and a host of other illnesses that we could fight with a plant.
The state Supreme Court struck down the medical marijuana measure based on a challenge filed by Madison Mayor Mary Hawkins Butler that said the petition drive was invalid because it was required in 5 congressional districts in a state that now only has 4 districts.
We need to support medical marijuana. It's too many people are suffering in pain from many different illnesses.
Speaker Gunn and Delbert, they're ready to go in and deal with it. So hopefully Tate Reed call us in there.
The governor and lieutenant governor are scheduled to meet later this week, but the governor has told me that he does not want to call lawmakers back for a special session until they have a firm idea of the type of medical marijuana legislation that they want to put forth. At the state capitol, Scott Simmons, 16 WAPT.
Yeah, so it's basically up to the governor to get this thing rolling. So, and I'm glad that we were talking about the young people earlier. What I love to see in Mississippi, seeing white kids protesting in Mississippi for something good. You know, that's wow.
That was cool to see.
Mostly people protest down there for having to wear masks and take the vaccine and all that ridiculousness, but this was like mostly white people. I mean, you saw the video there too. I think they should do what California did, you know, just go ahead and legalize everything because the farmland down there is so rich. Dude, I mean, granted, you don't need farmland to grow pot, but you know, you could do the hydroponics or whatever, but I mean,
it helps.
For what I mean, look what happened. What was it? Colorado, they made so much in tax revenue from pot that it was supposed to go to.
I don't understand why other states are not picking up on this. and I remember this succinctly, when Colorado legalized, first of all, it was a big deal. People were shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And then once they got the ball rolling, they made windfall profits the very next fiscal year. So it was all over the news. So if I'm a governor or a legislature or someone who just thinks, oh, I wonder if that can help my state. If I'm any of those people, what exactly is the problem? Which brings me to another question I want to offer to you, because you know that region of the country much better than me. I mean, do you have any faith in their state legislature to do something fair and profitable?
Well, I mean, you had 70% of the people vote for it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
why I played my question the way I did. The people already know what they want.
The way
they're going to give it to them?
Well, that's the thing is the way things work down south is like the people don't get anything unless they come out for it. They have to really vote for it. If it barely squeaks by or something like that, okay, and then they half-ass it, whatever. But something like 70%, yeah, they're going to have to, or they're going to have to find new jobs because these people are going to be so pissed off they're going to vote them out, and as they rightly should be. Because if they're afraid of Tate Reeves is like that the inflatable co-pilot on Airplane. All right, he has about that much personality too, and it's probably full.
That reference. I love that reference.
I said that. I was saying that about Ryan Grimm the other day. Said he looked like the co-pilot from Airplane.
He does,
and he has about the same personality too.
He does. Even the same hairstyle. If you look at
yeah, right. That's what got me. And that bullet head.
Yeah, that's the same hairstyle.
I love being salty.
Call, my friend.
I love being salty. Oh shit! Oh damn! I spoke too much good shit. Woo, Lordy.
Yeah, being salty is cathartic. It's
good. You gotta get it out of your system sometimes. I let my old lady does that.
Yeah.
She said, I don't mean to complain a lot. I'd say, baby, you just gotta let it out. Just go. Just get that poison out of you. Just let it go,
you really have
and she does. She's like, and this motherfucker did this, and I couldn't believe that. And then she's lucky because I got a box cutter in my purse. And then I told this motherfucker, and I'm not sitting there like, yeah. But you can't not pay attention because she asks questions. There's a quiz. Because, would you listen to me? Yeah, what'd I say? Oh, yeah, you was talking about the box cutter. You hate this bitch, and that bitch better not talk to you. Oh, okay, all right, cool. Hey, baby. She's psycho, but I love that woman.
That helps.
We've been together 12 years, May 31st. So,
that's good, man.
Lord willing, if the creek don't rise, we'll do another 12 more before she figures out that she made a mistake and will dump me somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Man. I hope so. Well, listen, man. You got a little cartoon here because I want to do some funsies on this show. There's a little backstory to this, and like I said, it's only 30 seconds. So that's 30 seconds of your life you will not get back, which is fine. When I was in high school, I drew this cartoon called Crud because my 11th grade English class was boring as fuck. So I would draw these little stick figures, and and we had little casts. We had some casts of characters, and there was this guy. So I would parody people, but I would change the names and the looks and stuff. But everybody knew who it was. So it was kind of like it was almost like it was a cartoon.
Was just enough character traits.
Right.
Like, okay.
So it was a cartoon, but it was talking shit about people too, and all the shit was true too. Those motherfuckers. Anyway, so I want you to see this is so after 35 years, the backstory is Crud went to sleep. He was frozen in a cryogenic chamber, not unlike Fry from Futurama, but he woke up in 2021 instead of 3000, and now he's having to deal with this world. So this is Crud. It's about 30 seconds, and we'll be right back here. All right. I spent 3 hours working on that shit today. I was a busy little bee getting ready for the show like Spanky and charging buttons and onions at the door. You remember that from Little Rascals?
Yes, yeah. I used to love Little Rascals.
Spanky always loved the show, man. Spanky didn't give a fuck. Spanky said, we'll use this alley. We'll do the show. But he's still charging like onions and buttons and shit at the door, man. He was always just like, I love him. Spanky was my favorite. He was a straw that stirs the drink.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Yeah, nothing so about Spanky.
That was my growing up. Get up in the morning at 6. I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday was the Little Rascals, and Tuesday, Thursdays was the Three Stooges. And then you got up, you got your bowl of cereal, and you sat down and you watched Little Rascals. And
what was your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal? I don't know, man. Grow up poor, so it was kind of limited.
You still have a favorite. You're totally allowed to have a favorite. We were poor. We had a favorite.
I don't know. They didn't expose me to the outside very much. They just kept me. They kept me hidden in the dark, so I wouldn't scare the neighbors. But I don't know. I guess I liked honeycomb. Corn Pops. But Corn Pops, you have to be careful because you put too much milk in there. Because you could use Corn Pops as a flotation device if you were out in the middle of the ocean.
Do you remember the cereal called Life?
Life cereal, yeah. With Mikey. Yes. Mikey likes it. He'll eat anything.
That was my favorite.
I wonder what Mikey's doing now. What do you think Mikey's doing?
How old is Mikey? I hope Mikey is well.
I do too.
Mikey is well.
Well, if he ate enough Life cereal, he's probably regular. I would say I
would hope so.
Yeah, on the fiber tip there. How old do you think he is? He's probably got to be in his 50s, right? Maybe?
I think we're the same age, in the same generation. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a 69
69
baby. I mean, that didn't come out right. I meant I was born in 69. 67? Ah, good times.
67, yeah.
They made good cars in 67 too.
I know. The Corvette, Stingray.
Oof. Those were the cars. My old man was.
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. I will die on that hill. The 67 Corvette Stingray is the best production model of that year. Yeah. Everybody else can fuck off. Sorry.
Didn't they? There was a TV show in the 80s. Oh, what was it?
Called Stingray.
Stingray with Mike Mancuso? Yes. Was that him?
Yes. And you know what Mike Mancuso was driving? A 67 Stingray.
That car was so fucking cherry.
Thank you.
I love that car.
You.
I remember watching that show and I looked at my dad's like, hey,
I love that show.
We need to get one of those.
Loved
it. My dad was an auto mechanic for 30 years, so he would always point out like all the really cool cars and tell me like everything about them. Like we'd be out somewhere, he goes, "Hey, that
is so awesome." Your dad was a mechanic?
Yeah, in Chicago for 30 years, and he built that guy. I'm telling you, man, he was silent generation. He built our house in the country out there. We were living. We were working. Dad was working for this guy is I don't know. I guess he was a caretaker, but he would take care of the crops and stuff out there, like corn and stuff, make sure that it was weeded and stuff, and there was cattle. So he took care of the land and the stuff for this guy, and in exchange, he let us stay in the house, rent free. So that was a good deal. But you know, especially for 4 people, rent free, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, so we grew up around that kind of stuff, and you know, he was always having to fix stuff, and he always had some old junker. We always had some old junkers, but he always made them run right because he knew, you know, he fixed the shit. They just looked like crap. He said, "I'm not painting it," you know. So it's a bygone era.
But that
that's for sure.
Die.
I know.
Nice.
I tell you, yeah. He kept
It
cars
don't look
running.
like much, baby, but guess what? When you turn it on, it's gonna run.
I got a fun story for you. He bought, what was it, it was a 60-something Ford Falcon he bought from my uncle, his brother-in-law, and he was supposed to pay him $1 for it because it was supposed to be some legal thing. I don't know what it was, so he had to give him $1. And my dad never gave him the $1. I'm like, "What the hell's wrong with you, man? I know this is like a fake deal, but give the guy his $1." He's like, "No, you don't need the $1. He's all right." But he had that Ford Falcon, and he fixed up that motor, but that chassis, the door wouldn't stay shut hardly. Oof.
Yeah.
But that motor was great. He for what he could do with it. You know, there's only so much you can do with a shitty motor. You know, right. So those are the days. Well, I know you got to go here pretty soon, about 20 minutes. So you have any final thoughts about things? Anything you want to get off your chest, or just anything you just wanting to tell an old white guy that, you know, you've just been dying to say?
Yeah, this has been a remarkable experience.
Really?
I want to thank. Yes, it has. I want to thank you for it because when you told me about it, I was excited, first of all, and honored. But
me too.
As it approached, like last night, I went to bed early, really, because I wanted to be fresh. Because I knew that the show was going to be on during work, so I didn't want to come in like, you know, like all Joe Cool and shit. I didn't want to do that. I want to come in, you know, on time and ready to go for this, because, you know, I didn't want to let you down, and I saw it as an opportunity to, you know, just to decompress and meet someone who I find very interesting. So I wanted to thank you for that, and that's really what I wanted to say. I've had a blast this whole time. I can get a little emotional, like I did before. I apologize, but you know, I was homeless, so I know what that's like. I know. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for letting me, for being with you. I appreciate it.
Brother, this is what this show's about. This is the safe place. You come on here, you feel any kind of way you want to feel. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to say anything, you know. I like it. I want people to be cathartic, because I think if people get a lot of their shit out of their system, then we can maybe talk to each other. You know what I mean? I think
I agree.
We're
I think there's a thick layer of frustration there, and that needs to be removed. Once that's removed, I think you have a much better dialogue. Doesn't mean it's not going to be testy, but it'll be a dialogue, a real one. So yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
If you can get through, if you can break through the shields, like whenever I'm in a conversation with somebody, and it depends on the conversation and how aggressive the other person is, you know, I tend to drop the shields and be open to what they're saying. I may not agree with it, but I'll listen to it, right? And
same here.
And when they see that you're listening, then they tend to listen. So their shields tend to come down a little bit too. And I think that's what it is. It's like, come on, you know, I want to get, you know, obviously I want friends and foes on the show. So you are now officially friend of the show. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I am honored. It's my honor. But I want people to come on the show and feel comfortable. And we're going to do silly stuff like cartoons and stuff like this. Sometimes this is my decompression, brother. Look at that guy. The guy in the middle, the one upside down, that's the ringleader. That asshole runs that whole crew. Anyway.
It looks like it. Yeah, he was just like kind of chilling. Yeah.
It's that kind of show. We got kittens on demand, so anyway, I want people to come away from this show thinking, fuck did I just watch? You know, that's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever reach that goal. I hope so, but I hope they get kind of entertained and maybe some knowledge in there too, you know. I got to tell you, I enjoyed this too. I was very nervous. I was extreme. I even had a little.
You didn't seem like it.
Oh, I had a little right before, and then I melted. But I was nervous, man, because I've been having like technical problems and shit for the last. I was supposed to be doing this like weeks ago, but then I have one thing after another, and then boom. But then I'd find in the chaos, I would find something better. You know, like that voice meter thing I was telling you about. I would have never discovered that if my audio hadn't been fucked up, you know. So that happy accidents and stuff like that. So anyway, but I was very nervous.
How that kind of thing works out, yeah.
And I knew you and I were cool on Twitter, but I had never spoken to you. And when I first heard your voice and how you're very calm and very Vulcan-like, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah. The character of Spock is out of all the characters in the universe of Star Trek, Spock is the one.
Yes.
People always ask me, like, I'm like, Spock. And they start laughing like, no, I'm like, I'm dead serious. If you want to know where my head is at, that's the character to look at because of his origin, what he had to go through to even get the Starfleet. You know, I mean, that whole thing, being a child of two worlds, you know, I was born Christian, I was raised Muslim, half my family's Christian, my family's Muslim. So whenever we go to family functions, it's basically the Christians against the Muslims in a loving format, by the way. I want that clear. So I'm not alien to political debates, controversy, terse words, arguments. I was raised around that stuff. I was raised in a political family. So in reference to Spock, knowing, you know, my father's disposition, you know, he was a staunch Muslim, Ahmadi Muslim. You know, my mother being, you know, his convert. You know, when they met, you know, I was 5 years old. My mother was recovering from a very abusive relationship. So, you know, that whole nucleus, how it all formed was very interesting. I'll say that. Very interesting. So, you know, when you have a mother who's into science fiction, you know, and the first show you see in your life is Star Trek. You know, it was a done deal. My mother said because I was sitting in her lap and I was asleep and I woke up and we were watching, she was watching, I think by this time it was in syndication, but she was still watching it. And she was watching the Corpomite maneuver.
Oh yeah.
So my first episode was the Corpomite maneuver. And I had woken up when the Enterprise had made contact with Balok's ship, the mothership. So I'm wiping stuff out of my eyes, sitting up, and the camera's panning in, and you see this big sphere, and I'm like, what is that? And my mother goes, shh. After that, I was hooked.
Yeah, I was blessed to have parents that they didn't really care what I was into. You know, they were just like, as long as it makes you happy, you know, rock on. You know what I mean? So I was always into the sci-fi stuff too. You know, it was good stuff.
Yeah. I was raised on it. Spock's my goat. He's my dude. But yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Spock is GOAT. And you're the GOAT too, for being my very first guest. I was totally going to think, you know, I'm very free form and light around this. I appreciate you, you know, being punctual and very professional and such a pleasant person.
Well,
to
I used to
talk
be an
to.
actor, so I know about auditions and being on time and call times. So it's still in me. I love the craft of acting. I love the craft of storytelling and production. I like all that shit, man. It's like all of it is so it's intoxicating. So
It is.
So again, when you ask me, dude, how do I say this? The actor in me just kind of woke up. When you said, "Hey, man, we're gonna do it this day," I'm like, "All right, cool." It means I gotta go to sleep. I gotta eat. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta be up in the morning. I gotta be out the door on time. So basically, I take my lunches around 2:00. So today I drove to Burbank. A little ways. Traffic wasn't that bad. Went to Burbank, got my lunch, ate that shit, smoked a bowl, came back to the studio, and cleared everybody out this motherfucker.
Nice.
Everybody left. Because by 4 o'clock, everybody leaves. So basically, I had a whole bunker to myself.
Oh, nice.
This is where I'm at right now. So, yeah, that's why I told you. I said 4 o'clock, bet, because everybody's going to be gone.
I think this is a good time. 4 o'clock.
So, yeah, so when you told me, I was like, yo, everything's going to be set. So, yeah, I didn't want to let you down. I knew you were doing your own thing, and I didn't want to be, I just don't do things sloppy, dude. It's just not my way. I'm a soldier first, and protocols are protocols. So
I understand.
I've always been that way.
I understand, sir.
I will never fuck you over like that. Never. If you ask me to be here, I'm gonna fucking be here. That's just how I work. That's how I roll. So yeah, it's been a great experience. I had a lot of fun.
I did too. Would you, since you are now official status friend of the show, you are going to come back at some point, right? And you're going to you're going to become regular, right? So you're friend of the show now, but you're right here. But next up is regular, and I don't mean the fiber regular either.
Friend of the show means, I totally get it. Yeah,
I know you're Hollywood. You understand. Hey, let me ask you this.
I accept that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I don't mean to get in your business, but you said you were an actor.
What's up? I used to be an actor. Yeah.
What your name sounds very familiar. I mean, what have you been in? Tell me. And I'm going to say the pot made my memory forget.
No, so let me explain. So when I got into it, it was at a very, very sweet spot in my life. I had a window to pursue a dream, and my thing was, well, if I can't hit, then I'm going to have to go ahead and just focus on getting the 9-to-5 thing. So as you know, everybody in LA has a gig.
Right.
I took the IT thing as a gig, but
That's
I really
a sweet
wanted
gig
to
to have. Yeah.
I really wanted to be fucking. Yeah, it is. It really was, because it gave me a lot of latitude for auditions, and because of my skill set. See, I'm a server guy. I'm not a programmer, so I don't need to be in somebody's cube. I could do all my stuff remotely, and still do other things, which gave me a lot of wiggle room. So I would go on auditions and go to parties and shit and shoot student films on the weekend and then work during the week. And if I got a call time at night, I would, one time I was doing extra work. I shot a film from 12 on a Wednesday night from 1 in the morning to 6 in the morning. I went straight from the set to work.
Damn.
So I would do stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I had a couple of extra gigs on Law and Order SVU. One of them. Oh yeah, I got to meet Stacy Keach. Yeah. Mike Hammer.
He's dope.
Mike Hammer.
Yeah, he's dope. I'm a big fan of Stacy Keach.
He was such a nice guy. I mean, he I don't know if he wanted to be there or not, but he didn't act like he didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? He was very professional, and so I was a security guard, and they actually asked me to do some action stuff because so I can't remember the gentleman's name. He played a basketball player on there, but he was also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was the tall black dude who was bald headed. He was like a mechanic dude.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in it too. So I can't remember his name, but I got to meet him too. Super nice guy. So anyway, my job was I got to grab this crazy white bitch out of the elevator, drag her out of the elevator while she's screaming at him, said, you know, you used me, you know, and I'm supposed to be like, no, come along, ma'am. You know, I don't speak, obviously, but I have to look like, no, come along. So I actually got to get out there, and I got to tote this crazy bitch. And then the other one, I was in like some crab shack in Long Island City with Ice-T and what's his name from L.A. Law, and I got to play a dad, and I had a mustache, and they gave us free pie to eat.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, you asked me what I've been in. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I was an extra in Eraser, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Ooh, nice.
I got that gig because I had a military experience, and I actually had a speaking role, but because I was not SAG, they had to cut it.
Oh. Yeah, they couldn't have made you SAG right then. I thought that's how that worked. You get the speaking part, then you get SAG. I don't know.
And that's what I was told. But because there was some on-set politics, I got short of the stick. And you know, it's cool because, you know, I mean, technically.
No, that ain't cool, man. No, they fucked you, man. Fuck those people. Fuck those people. This is not the place where we defend those people. Fuck them.
Well, I'm being fair though, because I was hired as an extra.
I know,
they
but still.
Movement. But let me tell you the story though. They were so impressed with my movement because we had to move through a space, and they were doing it wrong. Keep in mind, I'm fresh out the military, so all this stuff is like. So we're on set, and I'm sorry, I'm clocking out.
No, do your thing, man.
Yeah, so we're on set. They do this fire team movement. It's totally civilian, totally fucked up. They're talking, no hand signals. I'm like, hold up. So basically, because I'm an extra, I can't say anything. But I'm standing near the stunt coordinator and a director, and I'm talking shit to the other extras. Because again, remember, I'm fresh out. So right. All of my fire discipline and movements are spot on. So I'm over there talking shit, and somebody hears me. I don't know who, but someone hears me, and they ask me to come over. So I'm standing there. It's me, you know, some young buck extra, the director, the stunt coordinator, and Arnold standing there. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, well, you know, Arnold, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger's film, Eraser. I mean, he's the man. He should know how to move as a fire team. It's the same motherfucker that did Predator. Hello? Well, apparently, he was not into it for whatever reason. So I don't know if me talking shit got me into the conversation, because they were laughing. It was really bad. Yo, when you're in the Army, you rip on somebody, bro, everybody gonna know. Everybody's gonna, we weren't shooting, so it was basically break time.
Right.
So I'm talking shit. They bring me over there, and the stunt coordinator says, I heard your comments. Do you have anything you want to add to the discussion? I said, well, sir, I'm just an extra. I don't really know anything. He's like, well, that's not what I heard of you over there a few moments ago. So then I become emboldened because he tried to get slick. So I said, yeah, I got some comments. I said, the fire team was moving like a bunch of fucking floating targets, number one. I said, there's no hand signals. They're not moving and covering. And if I was the perpetrator, I would cut them all down with one magazine and have ammo left over, and then it'd be done deal. He goes, well, what would you do different? I said, well, first of all, it was 8 guys. I said, first of all, you need to be in 2-man teams. You need bounding. It's called bounding Overwatch. The Overwatch is the sniper, which is actually my job. I'm sniper qualified.
I'm not pissing you off then.
The sniper covers the kill zone while the teammates move in rapid succession towards their objective. I said, that's what you want to do. I said, now how you want to do it with the way the set's laid out, I can't really speak to it, but I have some ideas. Do you want to hear them? He's like, sure, why not? So I gave him my ideas, and they ended up making it into the film. Now it's a really close and short cut if you go back and watch Eraser, but it's the scene where they're coming up to the house. They're coming to get Arnold. That's why Arnold was there. They're coming to get him. But the way they were doing it, if Arnold wanted to, he could cut them all down. So they basically changed the scene based on my limited input, if you will. And that's my Hollywood
awesome.
Story. So yeah, it was really cool. I also got to be an extra in Generations. Star Trek Generations. Yeah, that's my big one. That's the big one. I got a chance to be on the set with Malcolm McDowell and Picard in the 10 forward scene. Remember when Picard had to go? Remember Dr. Soren called when to see the captain?
Yeah.
About the Amargor Station experiment. Remember that scene? I was part of that.
What?
I was a background. Yeah, I was a background extra in 10 forward. Me and about like 5 of my friends. Like the funny thing about actors is they run in packs, right? Like we call ourselves like the Black Pack. So we would do all extra work together. So we were on the lot that day, fucking around doing extra work. And I ended up making it into a scene. And this scene also got cut because it was a close crop.
Oh.
Hey, but that's the business. But I don't care. I loved it. Just being on the set, seeing Guinan, all that stuff. It was so cool. It was really great. Me being a Star Trek fan, I mean, come on. I'm in heaven, right?
Yeah.
So it was a close crop shot. So when you switch the camera back to Picard's reaction to Soren's statement, I was in the back, but they did so many takes. The director has to decide which take is good to use for that frame, and I didn't make the final cut. That's what happened.
How many days were you on it?
I was there for 2 days.
2 days? Okay.
2 days? Yeah, a 2-day call, yeah. 2 days.
Nice.
And, oddly enough, it didn't interfere with my work schedule. I was really amazed. That's how I knew I was destined to be on the Star Trek, when it didn't interfere with my work, because I've had other shoots where it would interfere with scheduling, or I got to call in sick, or like sneak out early or whatever. But when I got my Star Trek gig, it was crazy, Warren. It was like everything lined up. It really felt so natural. So if the end result of this story is that I'm at the cutting room floor, I'm okay. I'm okay. Totally okay.
Because you were there. You were on the set. You were there with Locutus of Borg.
Yeah, with Locutus. Yeah. So I mean, so what better memory to have? And one more caveat: when I left, my last day of shooting, the captain has 4 uniform tops. I stole one and gave it to my mom. Still have it.
Nice. And you gave it to your mom?
When I gave it to her, she was like, "What's this?" I said, "This is the tunic of Captain Jean-Luc Picard from Generations." She's like, "Boy, don't play with me." I said, "This is one of the tunics."
I know she's gonna be like, "Don't fuck with me. Don't you fuck with me. Like, you know what I love. Don't you fucking fuck with me."
One of the tunics that was given to Patrick Stewart in his wardrobe trailer that I got my hands on. I said, "Now here's the backstory, Ma. I didn't get the one he was wearing, but I got the one that I know he tried, because he tries on all of them. I didn't get the one he was wearing, but I got the one he tried on. I said, this is going to have to settle," and I gave it to her. So
I bet she was like, she probably was to the moon and back, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't have. I mean, I don't know to what extent your mom is a fan, but I'd probably put that thing in like glass case, with like some burglar alarms and shit around there, man.
She has it covered in plastic.
She does? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, she has it covered in plastic. Yeah.
It's good to put it in something like that anyway to keep it, keep the material from deteriorating too. Especially if you want to keep it for a long time. But anyway, my only
still hold up really well.
That's beautiful. I got to go to a Star Trek convention here in New York. That was pretty cool. This was about 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And they had it at the Javits Center. We go to Comic-Con every year, me and my lady. Right. That's like her Christmas, birthday, all wrapped up into one. She don't even give a shit about her birthday so much, but Comic-Con, we go into that. But then we found out about the Star Trek convention, and yeah, I got to see Kirk up on stage, and he was working the room. He's doing, hey, what's going on? He was doing his Kirk thing, and then he was telling stories about other shows and stuff. And it was just like, but it was, see, when you go to Comic-Con in New York or San Diego probably too, it was just like so packed, and it was just hard to get around and stuff like that. But the Star Trek convention, not a lot of people knew about that, so you had a lot of breathing room. You could walk around. Right. And you could go to all the panels. Yeah, we went for 2 days, I think. We went for both. I think it was only a 2-day thing. And they haven't had it back since. So it may have been just like a one and done, but it was so much fun. And just to be around all that stuff. They had they also, they had a Star Trek thing on the, that damn ship that we keep over here in the Hudson River. Anyway, but they had the Enterprise, like a mock-up of the shuttle, and then they had a mock-up of the thing, and there was a part where you could sit on, their version of the Next Generation set. It was so cool, man. We were just nerded out, and they had this machine thing, like the phones that put like butterflies and like big eyebrows and shit on those apps. It was like one of those things, but you had like a Klingon head, or you were like Andorian blue, or you were like a Orion dancing girl. Oh, Dios Neal, papi. The dance of the Forbidden Dance, the original, way before Lambada. All right, brother. I know you gotta go. I gotta go too. I am through. I don't know what metaphor to use. I am so happy, brother. Like I said, I was so nervous before this because I wanted everything to go off without a hitch. And then you popped up. Was the Skype thing okay? Was the meeting thing was just like bing, bing, bing? That's how I did it.
It was actually my fault. I had an old version of the software, and when you try to initiate an update, it keeps saying there's nothing there. What I didn't realize is that I needed I had to install the brand new one and then do an update. Once I did that, it worked.
That's a clean look too. You look really good.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm using like, I don't know, some baling wire and spit. I got all this shit together. Trust me, there is no New York skyline behind me. Although I did take this picture.
No, but it looks so professionally done though. The framing. You look really good. I'm telling you, you look good, man. It's a great, whatever camera you're using, that camera's nice. It really is nice. Because it's not even tripping at all. Whenever you move it, autofocus, it's really cool.
You know what's fucked up?
Camera.
You know what's fucked up? Trump bought all this. So all that my stimulus and stuff like that. Joe Biden didn't buy me this shit. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Christopher, I really do appreciate you being on. We're going to have you on again. You are going to be a regular, unfortunately, so that is going to be the rest of your life. I don't know what you did.
No problem.
I don't know what you did in your past life to have to go through this penance, but yeah, sorry, brother. It is what it is, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So what are you doing tonight? What's going on? Oh, it's only like what? It's 6 o'clock over there. You about to go home? I know what you go. Never mind. I know what you're gonna do.
I cannot wait to get to my car. I'll just say that.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go to your car. I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna have you on again soon, and we're gonna do these on Thursday nights. Thursday nights is gonna be the thing, I think. So Thursday nights at 7. We'll do some special shows here and there, but I want to do it once a week. Get my feet wet in this. Talk to more cool folks like you. I got really lucky, man. I knew we was going to have a good conversation, but I didn't know we was going to have this good a conversation. I'm just like so floored, brother. I really do appreciate you.
No problem, man. No problem at all. I really enjoyed it. I really did.
All right, man. Well, I will see you on Twitter, and I will make fun of people so you don't have to. So you can be the better person, because you are the better person. I'll talk to you later, man.
Okay.
You stay safe out there. And as Mom always says, watch out for the nuts. So, and I know you're surrounded by them. I was one of them at one point before I moved here. So
They're everywhere, bro. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, man. You take care, man. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, man. Later.
All right, later. So yeah, that's it. That's the show. I want to thank Christopher, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne on Twitter, for being on the show. We're going to take one quick break, and when we come back, we'll say our final goodbyes, and everything will be good in the universe. We'll see.
Want to catch the big one on your next fishing trip? Can't find that perfect bait? Then call or come visit the Master. Masturbators. We'll help you yank one out of the water and be the big hit at your next fish fry. Tugging and jerking the line with a big mouth bass can be easy with our proven fish baits. Don't go blind looking for that perfect bait. Harry Palms of Destin, Florida says,
I was tired of being alone. Masturbators made my dream come true.
Visit us online at www.tugandshrug.com or stop by one of our convenient locations at a rest area near you. Masturbators.
We're on the highway.
We're on the highway.
All right. That's enough of that business. Thanks a lot, whoever was watching. And for those watching in the future, Star Wars. And now, for the Irish dancers doing the can-can. Good night, everybody.